महाराज की जय।
जय।
ISKCON founder Acharya Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय।
जय।
प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन धाम की जय। ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर में विधाम की जय। कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदानी श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। गंगा माई की जय। गंगा माई की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Hare Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining for our daily Srimad Bhagavatam study here at ISKCON of Philadelphia. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to read, study and discuss Srimad Bhagavatam daily. We are today discussing Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 13, Text 31 and 32. 32 does not have a purport, so we will read and recite 31 shloka, and then some of you can repeat, and then 32 I'll just recite the shloka and the translation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Shunvatham Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto hi abhadrani vidunoti surhutsatam Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading, studying and discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, Text 31. I'll recite the shloka 3 times, then you all can repeat or recite. Ajata Shatru Pritamaitro Hutagne Vipran Natva Tilago Bhumik Rukmai Griham Pravishto Guru Vandanaya Nacha Pashyat Pitarau Saubhalim Cha Ajata Shatru Pritamaitro Hutagne Vipranatva Tilago Bhumi Rukmai Griham Pravishto Guru Vandanaya Nacha Pashyat Pitarau Saubhalim Cha Ajata Shatru Pritamaitro Hutagne Vipranatva Tilago Bhumi Rukmai Griham Pravishto Guru Vandanaya Nacha Pashyat Pitarau Saubhalim Cha. Anyone wants to recite?
Hare Krishna. Ajat Satru Kritamatri Hutagni Vipranatva Tilago Bhumi Rukamai Griham Pravishta Guru Bandhanaya Nacha Pasya Pitaro Sabalimcha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ajata Shatru Krita Matro Hutagnir HG Prananatha tilago bhuma rakmaha griham pravishto guru vandanaya na chapas yat pitaro so palam cha. Hare Krishna, thank you.
अजातशत्रु कृतमैत्रः हुताग्निर् विप्रान्नत्वा तिलगो भूमिरुक्मये गृहं प्रविष्टो गुरुवन्दनीय न चाप्यस्यत् पितृसौभलिं च.
हरे कृष्ण. अजातशत्रुः कृतमेत्रोताग्निर्विप्रान्त्वा तिलगो भूमिरुक्मे गृहं प्रविष्टो गुरुवन्दनाय न चापश्यत् पितरो सौबलिं च. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna. Ajata-satru kritamait-bhutange vipram natva tilago bhumi-rukmai griham pravisto guruvahanaya na chapasyat pitaro sobalim cha.
अजातशत्रु कृतमैत्रहुताग्निर् विप्रान्नत्वा तिलगो भूमिरुक्मये गृहं प्रविष्टो गुरुवन्दनाय न चापश्यात् पितरौ शौबलीं च.
Okay, sorry, I was on mute. Anyone else wants to recite? Okay, we'll move to the word-to-word translation. Ajata, never born. Shatru, enemy. Krita, having performed. Maitra, worshipping the demigods. Huta Agnihi, and offering fuel in the fire. Vipran, the Brahmanas. Natva, offering obeisances. Tilago Bhumi Rukmai, along with grains, cows, land, and gold. Graham, within the palace. Pravishta, having entered into. Guru Vandanaya, for offering respect to the elderly members. Na, did not. Cha, also. Apashyat, see. Pitarau, his uncles. Saubalim, Gandhari. Cha, also. Translation and purport. By His Divine Grace, is Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaj Yudhishthira, whose enemy was never born, performed his daily morning duties by praying, offering fire sacrifice to the sun god, and offering obeisances, grains, cows, land, and gold to the Brahmanas. He then entered the palace to pay respects to the elderly. However, he could not find his uncles or aunt, the daughter of King Suvala. Purport: Maharaj Yudhishthira was the most pious king because he personally practiced daily the pious duties for the householders. The householders are required to rise early in the morning, and after bathing, they should offer respects to the deities at home by prayers, by offering fuel in the sacred fire, by giving the Brahmanas in charity land, cows, grains, gold, etc. And at last, offering to the elderly members due respects and obeisances. One who is not prepared to practice injunctions prescribed in the Shastras cannot be a good man simply by book knowledge. Modern householders are practiced to different modes of life, namely to rise late and then take bed tea without any sort of cleanliness and without any purificatory practices as mentioned above. The household children are taken to practice what the parents practice, and therefore the whole generation glides towards hell. Nothing good can be expected from them unless they associate with sadhus. Like Dhritarashtra, the materialistic person may take lessons from a sadhu like Vidura and thus be cleansed of the effects of modern life. Maharaj Yudhishthira, however, could not find in the palace his two uncles, namely Dhritarashtra and Vidura, along with Gandhari, the daughter of King Subala. He was anxious to see them and therefore asked Sanjaya, the private secretary of Dhritarashtra. We'll move to text 32. I'll recite the shloka and the translation, and then we can discuss the two verses together. Tatra Sanjayam Asinam Paprachodvignamanasa Gavalgane Kvanastato Vruddhahinascha Netraya. Maharaj Yudhishthira, full of anxiety, turned to Sanjaya, who was sitting there, and said, "O Sanjaya, where is our uncle who is old and blind?" Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Before I begin, I want to express my gratitude for giving me the opportunity to speak, primarily for my own purification. I have no qualification whatsoever to speak. I'll make an attempt to repeat what I have heard and read. And also I seek blessings and permissions from all the Vaishnavas, all the devotees on the call. Thank you. So this verse is 31 and 32, very beautiful verses. The focus slightly shifts to the glories of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Of course, the theme is still the same, right? Vidura came back, and then because of his instructions, Dhritarashtra left home, yeah, and our Yudhishthira was concerned. We will see in the subsequent verses that he was lamenting, but nobody knew that Dhritarashtra left. Even Sanjaya did not know that he left. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj wakes up in the morning, and we will discuss, how wonderful example he's setting. When I was reading this verse and studying the purport and hearing, lectures, it felt, of course, all the verses are for my purification, but it felt so applicable, so relevant for me and my family, primarily for me. Yeah. So, so many points are discussed, but the first point we will discuss is Ajata Shatru. This is the first word, and then, how he was offering respects to elders. Guru Vandanaya. This is the word, yeah. The Vedic culture. And then how he was perfectly following the Vedic injunctions as a householder, and then last but not the least, important point is about the association of sadhus. Prabhupada discusses here how this current modern society, materialistic society and families, how everything is so degrading day by day in this Kali Yuga, and there is no hope. And the only hope is association of a sadhu for this Graham Adis, for those who are grossly engrossed in sense gratificatory activities. So we'll try to cover all of this. I also have a hard stop at 9 a.m. I have a work meeting, so I'll try my best to end quickly so that there's enough time for everybody, if any comments or questions. So Ajata Shastru Kritamaitro Hutagnir. Yeah, Prabhupada writes, Jata means birth. Ajata means the enemy was not born for Yudhishthira Maharaj. Enemy was not born. This is very powerful statement. So he earned that title of Ajata Shatru. When and why and how, we can see, when he interacted with others, he interacted in such a way that no one became his enemy. This is how he lived. So very inspiring. He took everyone as his family member. So Hruda Sarva Bhutana, and this is the great quality of wonderful devotees. They don't feel inimical towards anybody. Regular friendship, Mitra, right? Mitra means friend. Regular friendship, what happens? I do some help or I give something, you reciprocate. Generally in friendship, that's what it is. I do something, you do something back to me. Yeah. So I scratch your back, you scratch my back. But devotees, pure devotees, you see these devotees, either Yudhishthira Maharaj and many wonderful personalities, they just are freely giving and loving, really like a mother. Even if the child goes off track, the mother doesn't take any offense. Like, how the Panchatattva, they were freely distributing love of Godhead. No seeing, oh, this person is eligible, this person is good, this person is bad, I know I dislike this, I know he's like that. Nothing. Freely distributing, So like that, Yudhishthira Maharaj was. And we also saw in the Rajasuya sacrifice, it was discussed, I think in the previous, one of the chapters we read, I don't remember, was it the 8th chapter or 9th chapter? I don't remember. But the Rajasuya sacrifice was discussed, how Yudhishthira Maharaj and Krishna, both, they were so wonderfully hosting, inviting all the guests, and what was Krishna doing there? What was his service?
Was his service to receive the guests? No.
Yes, anyone else?
I think picking up the plates.
Anyone else? Oh, is
Hare
it?
Krishna,
Maybe I
Prabhuji.
was.
It was picking up the shoes of all the Vaishnavas coming.
Yeah, I was washing the feet, right? Am I
Yeah.
wrong? So you see, this is great personalities. How they are setting an example for all of us. Yes, in the Bhagavad Gita 3rd chapter, there is a words, Yad Yad Acharati Shrestha Tat Tadeva Itara Jana. Yudhishthira is doing so many of these activities. It is mentioned here in this verse. Why? He is a pure devotee. But just to show, because he's an emperor, right? All kinds of people are looking up to him. All kinds of people. So he's showing by example how a leader should be, how one should act, what one should do. And we'll discuss a little more about, how his daily routine that we read. But here the focus is about being inimical. Just see how the mood in which they were serving, so humbly serving all the guests. And we know Duryodhan was so inimical. And sometimes what happens, this feeling comes, or we hear, well, tit for tat. You be nice to me, I'll be nice to you. Right? You are being like this, I'll be like this to you. Here, knowing Dhritarashtra was so inimical, but Yudhishthira was not. He always was very friendly and nice with him. Yeah. And so see the mood of these wonderful great devotees, very friendly. He didn't want to offend Dhritarashtra. He didn't want to offend Duryodhana. And that was the mood. And we saw similar mood. Remember Parikshit Maharaj, or it will come in the last chapter of this canto, how Parikshit Maharaj, when he was cursed by Shringi, yes. So his mood was not, why this happened? No. The Bhagavatam explains, let's see if I can just read it out. He was saying, I failed to follow scriptural injunctions. I failed to follow so and so. That's why this happened. Okay, I'll read. This is from the 19th chapter, the last chapter of first canto, text 2. King Parikshit thought, due to my neglecting the injunctions of the Supreme Lord, I must certainly expect some difficulty to overcome me in the near future. I now desire, without reservation, that the calamity come now. For this way, I may be freed of the sinful action and not commit such an offense again. My neglecting the injunctions of the Supreme Lord. And he also says, I am in the next text 3, I am uncivilized and sinful due to my neglect of Brahminical culture, God consciousness, and cow protection. Therefore, I wish that my kingdom, strength, and riches burn immediately by the fire of the Brahmana's wrath, so that in the future I may not be guided by such inauspicious attitudes. Just to show the mood of these devotees. And then also I can remember one more example from Chaitanya Charitamrita. When Srivas Thakur was performing kirtan in the night, in one of the episodes, this Gopala Chapala, what happened? Anybody remembers this? What did he and few of the neighbors leave at the door of Srivas Thakur? When kirtan was going on inside Srivas Thakur's house. Anyone remembers? He placed the deity of Durga Devi in front of his door, and said, look, Srivas Thakur is doing demigod worship. This Srivas Thakur, because this person, Gopal Chapal, was inimical towards Srivas Thakur. And when Srivas Thakur opened, what did he do? He saw it and he said, hey, look, I'm doing demigod worship, and he's walking around everywhere. Nobody believed because everybody knew how exalted he was, But I'm just sharing some examples of how great devotees, they don't feel inimical. And like Parikshit Maharaj, he didn't treat Shringi as his enemy. He felt, I perform non-Brahminical activities. So this is one thing I wanted to share. And then we see in today's day and age, especially in this Kali Yuga, so much, enmity is there. right? Animosity is the name of the game, they say, right? Jivo jivasya jivanam. A four-legged animal is trying to kill a two-legged animal, two-legged with no legs. Otherwise, two-legged is killing the two-legged. So continuously, there's so much animosity. And in this, so much competition, right? In our professional life, everywhere, there's so much competition, so much envy, easily we can become an enemy to others. But Yudhishthira Maharaj was always a well-wisher of others, and out of concern for others, he always wanted to act in a manner that is beneficial for others. And how this is possible? Only through Krishna consciousness. When I am in Krishna consciousness, and when the opposite person is receiving Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy, and in the association of devotees, then there is no question. There's no question. There is one small story in Panchatantra. I'll just quickly share. It's the story of an elephant and ant. Anybody knows this story? This elephant was very heavy and strong, thinking I'm very strong, and going around, and he saw a line of ants, tiny ants. So what he did, he started crushing all the ants with his feet, thinking I'm so strong and powerful. And the ants were obviously very weak, very weak. And one day, this is a story, yeah. We have some small moral to the story. So one day these ants had a meeting. We got to do something about this elephant. And one of the ants said, I am going to take this challenge. And when this elephant was resting, the ant entered into the ear of the elephant and started creating havoc. And the elephant was running here and there in the forest. Eventually became crazy and died. And the point is, that moral is, if you make even a small ant as an enemy, it can kill you. The elephant may be powerful and huge, but ant may be insignificant, but the ant had the power to drive the elephant mad. And we see in this world, even if you don't do anything, as I said, you can still become an enemy to others. Yeah, that's why it's so, very, very delicate. You have to maintain relationships. Small things can disturb. So, but the point is, from our, we cannot control everything, but from our side, we can be best from our side, we can try not to offend and be, or feel inimical towards anybody. Yeah, we should not think of anyone as our enemy. And then Guru Mukha, Guru Vandanaya. This is another point. So this was about Ajata Shatru and how Yudhishthira Maharaj, did not have any enemies. So Parikshit Maharaj's mood. We saw some great devotees, how they didn't feel inimical, even though they were chastised, criticized, or unnecessarily blamed. They never felt inimical. Yeah, and Yudhishthira Maharaj was stopped in that line. And then either Guru Vandanaya, this is very important, offering respects to elders, and to elders. Yeah, and but a lot of people, in the Vedic culture, this was there about paying respects to elders. Yeah. That was the one I remember when I was growing up as a kid, the birthdays, which is celebrate. Until I grew up a little older, I didn't see, but in our house, the only way birthdays was celebrated, I think I mentioned this before, my uncle and aunt would live, they were much elderly people, and my mom's sister and her husband, very pious. So my birthday celebration was, my mom would make something, some a pulav and a sweet, and I would go give it to them. I mean, she would offer it. I would go give it to them and seek their blessings. There was no cake cutting or anything. Just offering and taking their blessings of elders. And this is the Vedic culture. Of course, Prabhupada talks in detail in this purport how that is degraded, but I just wanted to mention that. So it's very important, because in this society, in this age of Kali, people don't have a guru. People don't know the instructions of a proper guru. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya. That's why it's very important that we distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. We give them the knowledge, all those people Prabhupada is explaining here, right, who are lazy and on, with bad tea. So it's very important when people get the message of Krishna consciousness, they read Srila Prabhupada's book, Dharma Projita Kaitava, Nirmat Sarana. So we become non-envious, because everyone, as I said, in this world is so envious. Prabhupada also said, once he was in LA temple, Dwarkadish temple, the neighbors around there, they were thinking, what is these people? They don't do anything, they just sing and eat, they don't work. They used to feel inimical towards devotees. Yeah. So of course, devotees work very hard, but this is how they felt, envious. So now the next point I wanted to bring up is about daily practices, and about Yudhishthira Maharaj daily practices. But I'll pause. Any comments so far? Are you all able to follow me? Yeah, we'll continue.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, yeah. So then again, here it's discussed about Yudhishthira Maharaj daily practices, charity, worship. He had such a wonderful morning program, right? You can see what all he did in the morning. And then he would last come and seek blessings from all the elders. But prior to that, what all he did. The Brahma Muhurta period, the 1.5 hour before sunrise, is considered so auspicious. Prabhupada has recommended all of us to wake up and wake up before Krishna wakes up, because we are Krishna's servants. The other interesting point I wanted to mention in Krishna book, chapter 70, I'll just try to quickly read. Anybody remembers what is the title of that chapter 70?
Is that about Krishna daily activities?
Yes. Thank you so much, Mataji. Krishna's daily activities. Yeah, I'll just quickly read a couple of sentences. Okay. For example, Krishna's ideal life as a householder can be followed, but if one wants to imitate Krishna by expanding into many forms, that is not possible. We should always remember, therefore, that Lord Krishna, although playing the part of a human being, simultaneously maintains the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We can follow Lord Krishna's dealings with his wives as an ordinary human being, but his dealings with more than 16,000 wives at one time cannot be imitated. The conclusion is that to become ideal householders, we should follow in the footsteps of Lord Krishna as he displayed his daily activities, but we cannot imitate him at any stage of our life. So, and here it says, Lord Krishna used, this is the important paragraph, Lord Krishna used to lie down with his 16,000 wives, but he would also rise from bed very early in the morning, 3 hours before sunrise. 3 hours before sunrise. By nature's arrangement, the crowing of the cocks warns the Brahma Muhurta hour. There is no need of alarm clocks. As soon as the cocks crow early in the morning, it is to be understood that it is time to rise from bed. Hearing that sound, Krishna would get up from bed, but his rising early was not very much to the liking of his wives. The wives of Krishna were so much attached to him that they would lie in bed embracing him, and as soon as the cocks crowed, Krishna's wives would be very sorry and would immediately condemn the crowing. So we can see Krishna himself is setting an example for all of us. Yudhishthira Maharaj is setting an example by rising early. I have so much difficulty sometimes, right? As we read here, there were no alarm clocks and there was no hot water. And where would most of them would go to the nearby river and take bath, right? The lake. So so much comforts still, and these alarm clocks, the mind is so so chanchal, I put the alarm and then I wake up and then again I turn it off. You see, and then when I sleep long, then my same mind which told me to turn off the alarm and sleep will beat me up. Hey, Prananath, how could you be so stupid? You are supposed to wake up. The same mind which made me told me to sleep will again beat me up. See how the mind tricks and traps us. Even with alarms, I'm just trying to say, as Prabhupada writes in this, they had no alarms, just the sound of the early morning sound clocks would wake them up. That was the alarm. And here with so much alarm, so much comfort, as Prabhupada writes in today's purport, very difficult to wake up. Very difficult to wake up. Right? Prabhupada writes in the purport that one who is modern householders are practiced to different modes of life, namely to rise late and then take bed tea without any sort of cleanliness and without any purificatory practices as mentioned above. Yeah. So Yudhishthira Maharaj here is setting an example by waking up early, doing all his household activities, and Krishna also. So the main point here is, yes, Grihastha life may be very comfortable, but the instructions here are that everybody should wake up for morning program, very auspicious time for pious activities, like how Yudhishthira did. To the practical extent possible, we should go to the temple. If at all it's not practically possible to go to the temple, then at home. Prabhupada writes, Kali Yuga is so degrading. Forget about morning program, waking up, what is happening? People even have difficulty to what? People even have difficulty to wake up. Forget about taking shower early in the morning. People even have difficulty to wake up, and shower, talking about shower, nowadays, do we have to? See, the Vedic culture was what? 3 times shower, right? 3 times shower, morning, afternoon, evening. Now, sometimes, we see the younger generation, do you have to take shower? Why do you have to take shower? So apt, right? So apt this particular purport that Prabhupada has given, sometimes, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, people say, oh, I haven't taken a shower in a week. I'll take it. What's the big deal? So a very important point that Prabhupada mentions here. And then the other point is Maharaj Yudhishthira was the most pious king because he personally practiced daily the pious duties for the householders. The householders are required to rise early in the morning, and after bathing, they should offer respects, And, here it is explained, and I was just looking up in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 26, very beautiful words. For householders, what we should do, Prabhupada writes in that verse, 4th chapter, text 26. I'll just quickly read. Some, the unadulterated brahmacharis, sacrifice the hearing process and senses in the fire of mental control. And others, the regulated householders, this is the focus of today. So the regulated householders sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses. Prabhupada writes here that since human life is not meant for our enjoying sense gratification like the animals, the 4 orders of human life are so arranged that one may become perfect in spiritual life. The brahmacharis or students under the care of a bona fide spiritual master control the mind by abstaining from sense gratification. Yeah. Similarly, it continues, a brahmachari hears only words concerning Krishna consciousness. Hearing is the basic principle for understanding, and therefore the pure brahmachari engages fully in Harer Nama Anukirtanam, chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. Yeah. So this is what these are doing. These are unadulterated brahmacharis. What are this? The hearing. their senses, everything in Hare Ramanu Kirtanam. Then here it says, similarly, the householders who have some license for sense gratification perform such acts with great restraint. Sex life, intoxication, and meat eating are general tendencies of human society. But a regulated householder does not indulge in unrestricted sex life and other sense gratification. Marriage on the principles of religious life is therefore current in all civilized human society, because that is the way for restricted sex life. This restricted unattached sex life is also a kind of yajna, because the restricted householder sacrifices his general tendency towards sense gratification for higher transcendental life. So we sacrifice our tendency for sense gratification. Why? For a higher transcendental life. This is very important point. And then Prabhupada writes in today's verse purport about, the household children are taken to practice what the parents practice, and therefore the whole generation glides towards hell. Nothing good can be expected from them unless they associate with sadhus. This is another very important point, how it is so important, and I'm talking to myself to remind myself that, that I have to have a good sadhana, strong sadhana, and live a life of Krishna consciousness. So it is favorable for my children. Otherwise, we see in this modern society, if parents don't practice and follow, then we cannot expect children. What good will come out of that? Prabhupada writes, nothing. So this is very important point that we have to remember, and that's why up to a certain age with children, it is recommended that we are strict. After a certain age, then we, 16 or so, then we become friendly. But at the young age, we should help children engage in devotional service, and the best way to engage is by ourselves practicing Krishna consciousness. One second. And then I also wanted to talk about the association of sadhus. So what good, for these materialistic householders, Prabhupada writes, what good, unless their life will not change, unless they have association of a sadhu. This brings us to the next point about the importance of sadhus in our life. And, we also discuss or recite this shloka, right, at the beginning from 1.2.18, which is Dashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. And the translation is, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So this is because all the anarthas, all the unwanted desires, all the kalmashas, that we have, envy, greed, lust, all that will go. How? By daily Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, by reading, studying, and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam daily in the association of devotees. So for all these materialistic people, the solution is, the association of devotees. And for beginners like me to advance also in Krishna consciousness, it's very important to have association of devotees daily here, have a strong sadhana. So here the point here is about, how important association is, and how Dhritarashtra was so attached, but by the association of Vidura, he was able to free all his attachments and get liberated. And we also see, Narada Muni's example. He was the son of a maid servant, and he served all the transcendentalists in the Chaturmasya, like right around this period. Yeah, these 4 months of Chaturmasya, rainy season, transcendentalists, they don't go from house to house. They just stay at one place 4 months. They're engaged in devotional service. So they come to a home, that family, the whole family can benefit. Narada Muni, his previous life, classic example. All he did was hearing from these pure devotees and serving them and accepting remnants from them. And then he became, Narada Muni. Yeah. So just by taking remnants and associating with such wonderful devotees. And Prabhupada built all these temples so that we all can get association of devotees. And, we also hear there's this statement. Now you may have heard, we are with whom we associate. Yeah, it's very important. So if we get association of saintly personalities, we will also become saintly. Yeah, and we can say we'll be spiritually uplifted. And we should avoid the association of non-devotees. And we see Prabhupada. Prabhupada was a sadhu. And when he came to this world, to this Western world, especially to America, we all were asadhus, right? And just by one sadhu, one pure devotee, so many asadhus have developed saintly qualities. The power of a devotee. We can see same like how Vidura, and Vidura's instructions helped. Dhritarashtra was so engrossed in family life and so much attached. He was able to free himself by the association of Dhritarashtra. So many examples are there. Yudhishthira, in the 32nd text, there is no purport. But Yudhishthira is amazed. Where did everyone go? Dhritarashtra is such, is a blind man, an old man. How could they go? He was very, he was in anxiety. We will see how he was lamenting, and then how Narada Muni comes and removes his lamentation. But this is the point here, the association of devotees, and how powerful that is. Sadhu Sangha, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha. Just a moment's association, we can perfect our life. And in this age of Kali, where there's so much laziness, so much laziness, so difficult, right, for all of us. For people like me, so degraded the society is. And the Bhagavatam explains what will happen at the end of this Kali Yuga. There will be hardly any devotees that we can find in the society, because all will so much demoniac. People will be killing each other. Somebody invites us among the materialists. What will be the menu? Who will be killed that day? That's how society will be degraded. Devotees will be very rare in the forest somewhere. You will not find in this urban culture any devotees. So in this age of Kali, because of our laziness and our so much attachment, the only hope is the association of saintly personalities. Yeah, with that I'll stop here. There's so much to discuss in this verse, but with my limited understanding, I tried to repeat few points. Please forgive me for any mistakes, and please correct. Thank you so much again for the opportunity to speak. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much. These verses, these last few verses have been to see the Dhritarashtra in ourselves and to get that reprimand from Vidura. What is it I am doing wrong? How can I move forward? So they are definitely sobering. The one point that I was thinking about today was the Ajata Shatru. Sometimes I feel Yudhishthira is so good to everybody. That's why he doesn't have the enemy. That's, that's what you were saying. So sometimes that is seen as a weakness. And especially nowadays, when you don't fight back, when you don't criticize somebody, when you don't put somebody down, when you don't, in quotations, correct somebody because they are wrong, there is such a need for everybody to fight back. To tolerate is looked down upon. To be able to, and then again, the instruction in Nectar of Instruction is not to take, we should tolerate personal insults. We should not tolerate, but it is personal insult that we never tolerate, and probably the other way around. So these verses, I feel, and how you always start your class by saying purely for my own purification. These verses are primarily for my own purification. Is those were the points I was thinking about. I've heard this so many times. I have a slave mentality. I think like a slave. That's why I don't fight back. And fighting back is the first instinct, first choice. So those were the points I was thinking about. Anybody else, please, if you have your reflections or any other thoughts, please go ahead. And we don't have much time. Prabhu is giving us only 13 more minutes. So Kalpesh, Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji and Prabhu. Very good point and very good class as usual. So I appreciate, and please accept my humble obeisances. You mentioned one of the point about the waking up stuff, which is very interesting because it resonates kind to me also in many situations. So I'm trying to improve in that, which is very appropriate. So I would like to know humbly, if we come across, not all days, some days this happens, right? And throughout the day, we try to, after hearing this all discourses from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, reading ourselves, we try to see how can we practice in our life daily. So understanding those points, we try to understand our own weaknesses at that time. So how do we track, like, if I'm not able, let's say today morning, I'm not able to wake up, and tomorrow I do the same mistake for some reason. What kind of mental exercise we do so that we don't repeat the same mistake again? I have my personal way of doing it, but I just wanted to know what other devotees are practicing. Throughout the day, they introspect and they do something. If you can kindly share that.
So let me repeat your question. You are asking what practical ways do devotees use to try and motivate themselves to wake up in the morning, and also to try and practice Krishna consciousness during the day. Is that, yeah? Yeah. So, why, one thing, it reminds me of His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu. He says, our day begins the night before. I'll repeat this. Our day begins the night before. If I sleep at 1 a.m. or past midnight, there is no way I'm going to struggle to wake up. Right? So the first and foremost thing is, we have to be invested in Krishna consciousness. We have to take it very seriously. This is the goal of life. And I have this very rare human birth, right? So when I take it serious and it is very important for me, And the importance of morning program is again and again emphasized, and how powerful, because as the day progresses, you see in the morning we are in the mode of goodness. Slowly as the day progresses, we are in the mode of passion. And when evening comes, we are tired. At that time, if I hold my bead bag, in one round might take 20 minutes. In between the second round, I might doze off. In the third round, something else might happen. Yeah. So Vaisheshika Prabhu says it begins, our sadhana begins the night before. So if we sleep early, we will wake up early. Okay. And if and our life, the job, so much stress is there in today's day and age, right? So much anxiety is there. From the slowly, as I said, goodness to passion to ignorance, and we are dead. So it is very important that we shield ourselves spiritually, arm ourselves with the spiritual weapon of strong sadhana and Krishna consciousness, so we can tolerate all these ups and downs, matra svarsas to kaunteya sitoshna. We have to tolerate, we need to have strong sadhana, right? And strong sadhana comes with, rising early and chanting as much as possible all our rounds, ideally early in the morning. So, but this may not be practically possible, depending on where we are or all. See, this is one thing. So sleep early. Yeah. So, and then make a commitment to wake up, and you have to tell your mind. You have to tell your mind, I am not going to listen to you. You have to listen to me. You have to make this effort to tell your, otherwise mind is, chanchalam hi mana Krishna. As I told you, mind will say, Arey so ja yaar. Yeah, what's the big deal one day? Mind will tell like this. So we have to control the mind with suitable practice. So, and we have to be relentless. Yeah. But at least if we cannot, then at least 4 rounds before breakfast in the morning. Yeah. I will not have my breakfast until I chant my 4 rounds. I will not have my lunch until I chant my next 4 rounds. I will not have my dinner prasadam until I chant my. I will not sleep. I will not sleep until I chant my remaining 4 rounds. Yeah. And it's very difficult. We cannot do it alone, Prabhu. So devotees have morning japa sessions. There are so many classes, morning, evening. So when devotees who are little advanced than us, when they are doing japa or they are having Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam session, if we join, in their association, then we can also, we will develop those qualities. Yeah. So, but at the same time, we can't beat ourselves up also. Practically there may be some challenges. But what we have to see, at least in my life, I can tell you is it happening every other day or is it happening once in 15 days? If it is happening every other day, up and down, that means something is not right. If it is happening once in 10, 15 days, some emergency happened, some family situation or whatever, then okay, we introspect and do our best. But if it is happening every second day, third day, then that means I have to revisit. Maybe some other senior Vaishnavas can correct me. There's many senior Vaishnavas in the call who can add.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And I practice, if it helps to everyone, I write down, I make a sadhana tracking sheet. So I write down every day and I write down the reason. What was my not thing right throughout the day, which made me not wake up early. Because waking up is also reason, as you said, it is the activity what we did in the last day, or we had some pride or whatever we had a controller attitude throughout the day, then probably will not wake up, because we have that anarthas and sins in us and we are not motivated. That is how I manage, but you made excellent points to meditate on.
We have to draw yes, Prabhu, wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And we have to draw some boundaries around us, Prabhu, and make sure that, like a mother, her child may be running around in the temple, and let's say the mother is talking to some guest speaker or something. She is listening and everything, but her eye is, is that child going out of her vision? Then she will lead. So like that, we have to be very conscious,
Yes.
So we have to draw those boundaries. Now this is gonna, I'm going here, but then, whoa, if then this is not good for my spiritual practice in the morning, then we cut it.
Excellent
So
point.
draw some boundaries.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you very much, Prabhu. I just want to add that if anybody is interested in a morning japa, Bhakti Garden has a Zoom japa where devotees, they just get together for 30 and they do japa together on Zoom. So not exactly doing japa in the temple room, but almost there. So thank you very much, Prabhu. It's almost
Thank
9
you.
o'clock, so we will thank you for your wonderful class here. And
thank you very much, Prabhu. Very nice class.
Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya
Patithanam
patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo